So Luke, good to see you, man. You could start us off, please, with a little bit about your background, where you're from, and all that sort of thing. That'd be great. Thanks.
Fantastic, man. All right, so it's a very long and convoluted story, but essentially, I was born and raised in Asia, so Taipei, Taiwan. I'm what is it? Both my parents are Kiwis, so they both were born and bred and grew up here in New Zealand. But I was born and lived in Taiwan, Taipei specifically for 18 years. So I was schooled there, and it was around my transitional year from so like we have like freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. So that's like year 8 to year 9, that transition. I was on holiday in Australia, and I always went to the same arcade. It was across the street from us. We had like there was the beach, and then there was like the wharf kind of set up. And I went over there one day, and the arcade was gone. There's no arcade at all, and there was a CrossFit gym in its place. And me being 13, very, very intrigued, very, very confused as well. I see these rings hanging up. I see like incredible, like aesthetics of people running around doing burpees, handstand push-ups, like just insane stuff. And my first question is, okay, well, where's the arcade? So I asked what looked like the guy, he had the red shirt, it said coach on the back. I said, hey, where's the arcade? And he said, oh, the arcade's been gone for a while, but do you want to come work out? And my dad and I had been talking about it for a bit. I had to put on some size because back when I was in high school, I was on a lot of ADHD medication, and it suppresses your ghrelin. So you're not very hungry very often. So I was very, very skinny. Very skinny, 60 kilos and 6'4". That's not a good look. But, it's very, like flat Stanley, fly away in the wind kind of deal. And the guy that I was talking to at the time, his name was Brad Bacon, and he still runs and operates and owns CrossFit Mooloolaba on the Sunshine Coast. But yeah, he sat me down and gave me the what is fitness talk. He explained to me the pyramid. He gave me the constantly varied functional movement executed at a high intensity. He gave me the entire list of the 10 general specific skills that we're going to try and master. And I was like, well, I get bigger and stronger from doing this. And he was like, 100% yes. And I just went. It started with one session, and the next day I came back. I came back the next day, and the next day I was super sore. But I trained so much throughout that summer. When I came back to Taiwan, there were no CrossFit gyms in Taiwan at all. There was none. And the only thing that I could do to stay on top of my fitness was by following their page, because I didn't even know that CrossFit was bigger than that gym. I thought that gym was just CrossFit. You know what I mean? I didn't know that. I didn't know how the system worked. I didn't know who Greg Glassman was. I didn't know who Rich Froning was. I didn't know anything about any of these things. So I started to follow their like gym page, because they posted the workouts every day, and I tried to do them by myself in my garage with random objects. It's like lockdown experience kind of training before lockdown was even cool. Obviously that was not sustainable because I just wasn't enjoying myself. I missed having people around me and stuff like that. So I kind of left it alone for a bit. But then I started like seeing some CrossFit stuff pop up on my YouTube, and I saw Rich Froning, the 2013 CrossFit Games, and I followed that, and then I met my mentor the following year. So his name's Mike Vitas. He owns Mahoon Athletics in New Jersey, in the United States. And he currently coaches out of the Energy Lab. And pretty much everything that I know when it comes to being a coach, I learned from him. He opened the first gym in Taiwan, also known as Sean CrossFit. And his wife, Crystal, was also a huge mentor to me in my upbringing when I was in high school, because she was the athletic trainer at the school. So it's more than just like a physiotherapist, very much more qualified, like higher on the spectrum of being a sports doctor. And she taught me everything I needed to know about anatomy. She taught me about nutrition. Like both of them were like played huge roles in my development as an athlete and as a coach, more importantly. And my senior year of high school, I got the opportunity to go with them over to New Jersey to help them start a gym. So that's when they started Mahoon Athletics. And I got introduced to, have you ever heard of Mad Lab?
Yeah, I've heard of them.
Yeah. So I went through the first initial stages of the apprentice coach, like Mad Lab, documentation, and education and learning, and did all of that. And then after that, I was like 8 months in New Jersey. I moved to New Zealand, and I started my my university education at the University of Canterbury. Went through sports coaching for 3 years, and throughout those 3 years, I coached at various CrossFit gyms within the Christchurch area, just trying to get some hours under my belt, and trying to kind of build myself up. And it was through Mike that actually introduced me to Logan. And then I found out that Logan was doing a scholarship to his summit. And then I found out even more so that he was going to do it in New Zealand. And I thought, okay, I have to swing for this, because this is an insane opportunity. And I kind of viewed it as like a raffle. Like there's no way that, like, what are the chances? Because everyone's got a story. Everybody's got something they can say. And he made it very simple. You have 200 words to tell me why you should be the one to come. And I wrote my letter, deleted it. I wrote it again, deleted it again. I wrote it 50 times over. And I sent it to my dad, and he was like, bro, just send it through. Like, you gotta be real here. And, he then got back to me maybe 5 weeks later saying, hey man, like, let's do it. Here's your code, enter it, and I'll see you at the summit. So yes, it's insane. He was so, the thing I love the most about Logan is that, he talks to you like, you've known each other for years. It's insane, and you feel so comfortable with it. And he just sent me a message saying, hey man, like, come up to Auckland, we'll figure it out, it'll be sweet. So I packed a backpack, and I stayed in a hostel in Auckland, and I limed my way and trained my way to the sanctuary known as CrossFit New Zealand, CrossFit NZ with Darren Ellis. And that's when I met you. And it was an incredible crew, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, you had who was there? It was like, you got Lukey McGruer, he was there as well. You had, was it Max as well? He was there as well.
Yeah.
And there's more names that aren't coming to mind, but it was really just insane. I didn't think many people knew about Logan, but they did. And ever since that summit, oh man, everything has been so different in terms of the way that I kind of view, my professional outlook, my progression, what needs to be done or where I need to get to, and just following like those rules of kind of holding the standard to yourself played such a huge role in like my own kind of personal development. So yeah,
man, I love that story. That's so cool, man. Like, especially, how you got to the summit as well, just, writing the letter and finding your way there and stuff. I love that it shows real passion and grit for you to do something like that. People might see that as too hard.
Yeah, I feel like that there's a real big quote going around at the moment. It's been around for years. It says, hard men make soft times make soft men, and soft men make hard times. So I think, going for those adventures, it's going to make me a better person at the end of the day. So
yeah, I think a lot of people who aren't passionate about something, not necessarily like strength and conditioning like we are in leadership and things, but if they won't get it if they're not passionate about something. There could be something else totally, but they'll be like, why would you do something like that? But maybe they just need to find that fire for whatever it is for them. Man, that's cool. So growing up and just going back like a little bit before we go forward, the Taipei and that, like, did you use the language and stuff like how was the schooling and that sort of thing?
So that's actually a really good question. And I think anybody that's listening to this that knows me well enough knows that when I was growing up, so Taipei American School is one of the best schools in the world. I was very fortunate. I was very fortunate to go there because both my parents worked there, and I was able to go to school for free, which is insane because very, very expensive school. But I was lucky that I was in that situation because I want to call it a disadvantage now, but back then, having like ADHD as a child on a kind of like the severe level on the spectrum, I could not focus to save my life. So having all of these kind of things happening at once, one of the requirements for children after third grade is that they start learning Mandarin,
Oh, yeah.
which is the local dialect.
Hmm.
I missed that boat because they felt it was more important for me to get my learning skills down first than for me to worry about trying to learn another language at the same time. So I actually grew up knowing very little Mandarin the entire time. And I have to say it actually isn't that bad. It's cool. And I don't have any regrets in my life, but I do have one. And one of them is not taking advantage of the beautiful language that is Mandarin. And I feel like a lot more social kind of relationships could have taken place if I had that communication down.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, no, yeah, I grew up knowing very little Mandarin, and yet it's one of the best places in the world to live because well, most people speak English anyways, so it worked out quite well.
Wow, cool. Well, what sports were you into as a young guy growing up? What sports?
So yeah, so I was actually very unathletic for a very, very long time. Well, I was naturally very tall, so my dad, he loves basketball, so. Like as most, like I'm not a father. I know you are, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. Most fathers wish to see their sons and their daughters play sports that they enjoy.
Yeah.
So he put me into basketball at a young age, and that was great. But I played heaps of different sports. I played soccer. I swam. I played baseball for a bit. Not very good at anything really. It wasn't until high school I got scouted if you call it, being the tallest guy at the school at the time, to go play volleyball for my school, and I got picked for like what would be essentially Div 1 purely on a whim that because of my height they could teach me everything else. At the tryouts, I had no reason to be there. I had no reason to be there. There were some like class athletes there that were just looking at me like, "Are you lost? Like this is not the place for you, bud." And I got told on the first day of practice, I showed up, they gave me my kit, I got my bag, you feel like, wow, like I'm part of the team. That's cool. And my coach at the time, he was only my coach for 1 year, but he made a huge difference because he's the reason why I was able to have a career in volleyball. And he was like, listen, the only reason you're here is because you have the height. And you need to understand that you are at the bottom of the totem pole right now, and you have a lot of work to do. And we're going to work super hard to get you there. And if you're not up to it, I'll cut you right now. and I was brutal. Yeah, it was brutal, and it was like honest. And the main thing that he highlighted was that he saw potential in me. So that first season, lots of work put in, extra sessions, getting up early in the morning, like heaps of work put in. And then, come sophomore year, which is like that second year of high school, I was starting, which is great. And then I made the travel team that year, and then the following year, and then my senior year, we actually won the Asia Championship.
Oh wow, cool. Yeah.
So it ended quite well, I think.
Happy ending.
It was funny. Happy ending, yeah, 100%. So I spent 4 years playing volleyball, but at the same time, I was doing CrossFit. So whilst I was also very invested in my volleyball, I was also, doing a lot of weightlifting, doing a lot of metcons, a lot of accessory work, squatting heaps, snatching, clean and jerk, all of that. And all I wanted to do, because every young boy's dream that starts out in CrossFit wants to go to the games. Like that's like class. That's like wow. And all I wanted to do was, because I just begged my mentor day in, day out, like, hey man, like let's just ditch volleyball, let's just go all in on this CrossFit thing. Like it sounds epic, it sounds amazing. And he always said, that is the worst thing you could do for your development as an athlete. Because, he always reminded me I was at such a young age that, playing so many different sports gives you more tools for later than what you would want now. And, that first season, there's 3 seasons in the school. That first season was my volleyball season. I'd have an off season where I didn't play sport, and then I'd play track and field. So I did javelin, discus, high jump, and shot put. And that was a really good experience as well, because whilst I was pretty decent at volleyball, I spent 3 years being really below average at something I wanted to be good at, and I wasn't that great at shot put, javelin, or any type of throwing sports. So that whole kind of failure and feedback loop I got to experience at a very young age. And it's all right. It's all good though, because like you figure out that, hey, if you're not enjoying something and you're not getting better at it, then there's probably no point in doing it. And learning that at a very young age, like besides just having to think, okay, I must continue, and just push your nose into the grindstone, like having that experience is way more valuable than me just continuing to pursue CrossFit and stuff like that. But after we had won that big playoff game, that big championship game, I hung up my boots. I never played again.
Wow. That was it.
Yeah, that was it.
At least you finished on a high, last year you won a championship and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. I could have come to New Zealand and play club. I could have done that, but I always admired the weightlifters that would do their last lift, take their shoes off on the platform, and then walk away. And I was like, I want to do that.
Yeah, Khabib did it in the UFC too.
Gloves off, done. Yeah.
On top, man. That's a cool story. I'm a big basketball guy. You can dunk, 6'4".
yeah, man. I can dunk. Yes.
I'm trying to dunk. Like, yeah. I can dunk with like a little small ball, but not a full ball yet. Yeah.
It's hard, man. Like I got some decent mitts on me, but it's not that easy to grip the ball. I've gained quite a lot of weight lately, so I probably don't have that same power to weight ratio.
Yeah. What are you weighing now?
So I've actually moved on from CrossFit. So I used to do a lot of like competitive training. I was under Renegade for like 2-3 years. Yeah. And I've recently just kind of moved on from CrossFit. I've done it for 8 years now. And I've been doing a lot more bodybuilding now, because that's always something that's fascinated me. I just wanted to see what I could do in that space. And I've gone from 105 kilos to now we're just on a cut right now. So I'm at 110 currently.
Yeah. Ooh, so you put on a fair bit of muscle.
Yeah, I think so. We still have a little bit more to go, but I think in terms of like a healthy like body fat ratio, like I'm sitting at around like 12% body fat right now. Yeah. It's a good place to be, I think. Yeah. What were you no point being lean. Yeah.
What were you at, like 105? That would have been pretty lean, Like for your height and that, it's pretty.
Yeah. So I was way leaner doing CrossFit, I think. The thing that probably jeopardized my CrossFit quite a bit was that I was already kind of flirting with bodybuilding anyway, and I was doing a lot more. I would always like see the accessory work in my program and go, "What's bench press and bicep curls? Let's go, let's get it done."
Yeah.
And like just being more like biased towards that, because like to be decent, like if you think about Brent Fikowski as well, he's quite a tall fella and he's real lean. Obviously being lighter helps with your gymnastics. It helps with your your double unders. It helps with a lot of different things. So
yeah. Yeah, I've been off CrossFit too. I do like a little bit here and there,
yeah.
and been doing stuff just to look after my body, a bit of knees over toes stuff, and just experimenting with different programs so I can help with coaching, so I can sort of speak from experience and that. But I found like my body in terms of aesthetics hasn't been as good as when I did CrossFit, to be honest.
Yeah.
Just in terms of balance, like like in terms of aesthetically, but I was probably a little bit more worn out and things like that. But I don't know. I just had like more muscle. I don't know. Maybe, I think my metabolism was better and stuff. Just churning up.
Oh yeah, the amount of volume that you do on a day-to-day basis as well is like that impacts your your set point and your metabolism quite a bit. So
yeah. With the ADHD, knowing what you know now, like you said you're on medication and different things like that. What are you doing now to manage that?
So I was 18 when I decided to come off of my medication. I wanted to see what I could do without it, and I wouldn't have had the confidence to do so if I didn't have the right people in my corner. I was very fortunate having a personal support teacher. So her name was Jill Fagan, and she is an incredible woman, absolute just mastermind when it comes to kind of developing someone's like true potential and showing them that what they originally believed to be a crutch could actually be their superpower in the same breath. And she taught me how to use my difference as my advantage point. So she gave me the tools and the confidence to kind of move on from having to need medication. And honestly, it was the best decision I ever made, because having my own way of kind of operating now makes me feel kind of invincible in a way.
Yeah. I had a friend who he's been diagnosed with like an adult one, but he was sort of always thought of it as a superpower. He
100%.
He's quite an optimistic guy. That's just the way he saw it.
Yeah.
And some people sort of see it as like a bad thing, but he's like, no, I got a superpower. I can go all day and do all these different things.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we got a lot. I feel like we have an extra battery.
Yeah.
we just keep on going, and it's crazy as well, because if you've been on medication and then you go off of it, you realize that the throttle was on the entire time, but someone would just like pull it on the brakes. And then as soon as the medication comes off, the brakes are down, you're going full throttle. And if you learn how to steer, you do quite well.
Yeah. What would you say, maybe like a couple of things, if someone's listening that is in a similar thing, they want to get off, but they don't feel quite confident or know what to do? What would you say? Like maybe one or two things? Because it's quite a common thing, especially young boys like growing up in that.
Oh yeah, I think it's very much kind of like, do you have 1% of you have 80? Is there a little bit? Is there a sprinkle of it, or is there like a whole gallon? I think all of us have it.
Yeah.
Some more than others. I think that if you just can't be afraid to ask for help. That's the first thing. You only have so much of a viewpoint, and to have someone be able to kind of look down at you from their balcony to see the whole picture, that can help you navigate your way through it a lot easier. So obviously the first thing would be ask for help, contact a specialist, find someone who has worked with people like that before. I was fortunate enough to have that given to me. I think it'd be a lot harder to kind of seek out that own help for yourself. But if you're listening to this, give yourself the permission to go and do that, because it's going to make a huge difference. And I don't really have anything else to say other than that. I think that would be like the biggest thing, is to get someone to kind of help you get the tools down, kind of look at your processes and try and figure out what works best for you. Because the rules are, right, if you can get the work done, you're healthy, you're happy, and nothing is kind of being compromised in your social life.
Yeah.
Those rules work. Because if you try and do what other people are doing, that's gonna be a very, very difficult kind of transfer, because you operate on a completely different wavelength. Your brain operates completely differently to anyone else's. So I'd say figure out your processes as well. That's the second thing that I would say. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for that. Growing up in Taiwan, Taipei, it seems like it's more of like American influence in terms of the sport.
Yeah.
That's right, eh?
Yeah, man. So the school that I went to is a American-based school. So it's very much like American curriculum. You've got the flag on the pole. They've got American teachers and expats, and a lot of the American-born Chinese go there as well. I have this accent because my peers and a lot of my teachers were American. So, I also think that from the ages of, 3 years old all the way up to maybe 8 years old, I had a lot of American influence. Like I grew up watching a lot of TV and a lot of movies from Hollywood. Yeah. Like I was brought up by Hollywood essentially. So like a lot of that influence definitely influenced the way that I would speak, the way that I would talk, my mannerisms. A lot of that came from, what I was watching on TV. Yeah. And a lot of my teachers were the same. But at the same time, I was very fortunate to grow up with many different cultures from like all around the world. I had like every single culture, nationality, race, you can think of it, every mixture. I grew up with so many different perspectives and viewpoints, and just having that upbringing, being the minority as well in Taiwan. There's not many 6'6" white guys walking around. So, you feel like you're one in a million, and then you move to New Zealand and you realize, oh, okay, so this is normal now. I think I had the biggest culture shock when I moved here, because originally on Taiwan, whenever I saw another white person, I just like, whoa, what are you doing here? Like, this isn't your spot. Like, what are you doing here? And then I moved to New Zealand.
I'm the guy.
I'm the guy. Oh, wow. I'm just moving. I'm just walking around. And another thing too, this is really weird. I had to get used to being able to hear other people's conversations, because in Taiwan, like, the dialect, half the time I couldn't understand what people were saying. So I just kind of was in my own space, enjoying my own space. Whereas here, I hear other people's conversations, like that noise got turned up hugely. So it's just strange. Yeah.
I think of Daniel from Karate Kid when he goes to Okinawa.
yeah. 100%, dude. 100%. Yeah.
I was sort of just getting that, where also with like the coaching and all that sort of stuff, like were they more, you sort of alluded to it a little bit with your volleyball coach, were they more a little bit get in your face, tell you the truth? Because I was talking with my brother just recently, like, because the group I coach, I try to tell them the truth, and I feel like a lot of the kids are told lies, like, good work, Johnny, but he's not really doing a good job. Like, it's not like you want to tear him down, but it's like, all right, Johnny, we're going to work on this, was it more truthful, straight up, or how was your experience with that?
So with because I had two big coaches in my high school career that made a huge difference in my life, and both of them had very similar approaches, which is great. So my CrossFit coach and my mentor, who mentored me for 5 years, Mike, good job. That was a very rare, kind of saying, because he wanted me to know that, like, good job, that sentence doesn't grow on trees. You need to earn that. And I think that having that upbringing of him kind of having excellence very clearly defined, and that he's not just going to give me a pat on the back for doing nothing, kind of always making sure that whenever I did something right, I did something great, rewarded that. But knowing that, the more of those moments that I had, that pushed me to be better as an athlete. It pushed me better as a coach and as a person. And with my volleyball coach, it's the same thing. He would never reward us for things that we didn't do, but when we did them, he made sure that we knew that, we did really well there. And it's just like being honest with your athletes it's important. I think it's really important, but it's also important to recognize that some people need to be fluffed up a little bit more, and some people can take the honesty. Because like I guess it really depends on like what your athlete is about. You know, if they really do want to progress, and you see it in them, especially at a young age, they're probably going to need to be able to take a bit of brutal honesty, and they're going to need to, you know, receive less praise, because I guess praise is very, very much, you know, when it happens, you praise it. When it doesn't happen, you know, you remind them of what needs to happen and where we need to go to from here, but always showing support. Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting. The thing is, something I'm trying to figure out as I go along as a coach. You know, what's too much and what's, you know, the right amount. And I guess it varies. It varies from you know, person to person. And you did your internship in New Jersey for a year. What are some of the key things that you learned over there that you know that you use in your coaching now? A couple of key things.
So I was very fortunate because the setup over in New Jersey is very similar to kind of like the way that we do things at Hybrid. It's very much like, you know, you have a bunch of people working out in the same room, but everyone's needs are different, and everybody has, you know, a different goal, and their personalities are different. Learning how to have a strong EQ, so like not EI is the word, emotional intelligence. So like being able to read people, understand them without having to talk to them, and being able to know, hey, I can get into their face a little bit here. I can have a conversation, you know, I can talk to them this way. Being able to learn many different like personality types, being able to learn how to engage with people was like the biggest thing that I learned over there. Because, you know, I think being a coach, you have to learn when is the right time to go in and critique, and go in and kind of give, what's the word, a constructive criticism, but also support them at the same time, because there's some moments where they can benefit from that, and there's some moments where you just really need to leave them alone. And I was 18 at the time, so pretty green. I learned pretty quickly, you know, I was working with adults, you know, pretty quickly, hey, maybe leave that guy alone for a bit and maybe come back to him later. Or, okay, she really needs your support right now. You need to go in there and you need to redirect that. So communication as well, the way that you speak makes a huge difference. You can't just speak from brain to mouth. You need to go, what is the main point you're trying to get across? And then how do I coat this so that they're going to take the most out of it with how they're going to absorb it the best way. And then you can communicate it. And everyone's going to need to be spoken to differently. And you still treat them the same across the board. Everybody deserves to be treated with the utmost respect and kindness, but you need to make sure that you tailor your words to the individual.
Oh, I like it. I like the way you put that. Getting into your S&C journey, it seems like, you know, people didn't really know what they want to do. Your one was also almost, it seems like it happened naturally, right? Organically almost, you know, with ADHD, the volleyball, the CrossFit. Yeah. Is that true? Or tell us about your S&C journey in going into theory.
Yeah. So I always looked at, so my dad was a PE teacher. So he was a PE teacher, and then he got his master's, and now he's been the associate principal at the school for many, many years. So I remember growing up watching my dad coach, you know, coach basketball, you know, coach like athletics and sports, and always like looked at the amount of respect people had for my dad. And I also looked at the amount of like gratitude people had for, you know, his service. And I thought, okay, like that's something I really wanted to be like. And, you know, obviously as you're a young boy as well, you know, the thought of being a professional athlete is just insane. So it's just something you want to be anyway. But the more that I kind of dove into it, I started looking at, you know, the people that influenced me the most as well, because for a long time I wanted to be a part of the seminar staff on CrossFit. So like seeing the red shirts gave me a huge like inspiration. Seeing that, I was like, wow. And when I took my level 1 for the first time, this happened in Korea at I think it was CrossFit Busan, I think. There was a very specific coach there, Ollie. He was the one of the red shirts there on the day, and he made a huge impact on me. Just like watching the way that he, broke down nutrition, watching the way that he coached, the way he could move the room. It was just watching art, and I was like, wow, I would love to be like that. And then, as your journey moves through it, I kind of got to see both sides. Whereas, for a long time, I thought CrossFit was the be all and end all, Kool-Aid or nothing. And then I kind of learned over in New Jersey as well, hey, like OPEX kind of style, individualized training, IDP, we can do this way as well. And it's all about the needs of the individual. And I looked at that and I was like, wow, this is epic. I love this. And then, I kind of, in Christchurch specifically as well, coaching at various gyms kind of prepped me to where I am now at Hybrid, where we have a very kind of, what sounds lame, but a very hybrid kind of style of running a gym, because we do accessory work, we do traditional strength training and new age strength training, we do metcons, we do aerobic based specific work, we do only like bodybuilding days sometimes. Like the styles of training that we have there and the way that you kind of coach the class, it's no longer about, okay, autopilot. It's about getting in there, making sure each individual gets the most out of their session, and just really being the most versatile kind of version of that. So with my S&C kind of upbringing, having all this exposure kind of led me to where I am now, which I feel like is a very similar place with where you are at now as well. Like there's many different, what's the word? Not methodologies is probably what I'm gonna go with. There's many different methodologies for us to kind of subscribe to, but I think that each of them have something beautiful to offer. And I think having the knowledge from those methodologies makes a huge impact on your own coaching philosophy. And I like to kind of keep everything in my pocket and just continue to be the wizard as much as I possibly can be. And I think just taking a little bit from everywhere and just getting, what needs to be had for the individual to have the best experience, the best outcome, and the best training. So, yeah.
So it was basically, I guess, from your father and your own sporting, it was sort of, you weren't like going, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah, no, I
kind of fell into it, a lot of it. That's cool. That's cool that you were like that.
Yeah. I always wanted to be a coach, because like watching, especially my mentor, Mike, like watching him, meeting him for the first time and just like growing up with him, he was my idol. Like just like watching, him coach, and I always wanted to be, that kind of, I wanted to be that person. I wanted to be that person that, got Brenda her first pull-up, or, helped Steve deadlift, more than he could ever thought imaginable. And, having that impact on people, I just saw that as being like some type of supernatural being, and I always wanted to be that person. So, yeah.
Man, like looking back when I did my level 1 and level 2 and some of the, the strongman courses and stuff like that, man, the way they do their courses, they're amazing, eh? Like,
it's incredible.
Yeah, like their level of coaching and communication and everything. Like people who don't like CrossFit, they got to get along and do it. Like, because, both of us now, we do CrossFit here and there, but we sort of do other stuff as well.
Oh yeah, man. Like
they've got to give it a try to see how amazing it is. Like, and like, man, I was same as you, like frothing, drinking the Kool-Aid, and thinking back now that I'm trying to be a little bit more, balanced out, and just more long-term sort of thing, longevity and different. But these were still more fonder times. You know what I mean? Like that 3 or 4 years where I was entrenched in it. Like all the friends I made along, like competing, and doing the courses, like because we're all like affiliate owners, like in Auckland, like similar time. So I'd run into Luke and other coaches and stuff like that. Hey man, how's it going? Like how's the box? And we'd see each other at comps and things like that. So it was an amazing time, eh? Like I still think it's the best like overall program or whatever you want to call it overall, like everything methodology has its flaws, but I think in general
for sure. I think I really think everyone should, like I made a podcast recently and I talked about like how people shouldn't take shots at Zumba. I think everybody needs to kind of experience the thing before they can have an opinion about it.
Yeah.
And
exactly,
like CrossFit makes people, it lights their soul on fire. It gives them like, oh wow, like I'm a different person now. And giving them that kind of biblical like experience within like a setting or environment, you can make a huge impact because at the end of the day, we're beating the couch. And that's the main thing, right? So that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Now that I've been away, like I've been experimenting, like, as I've said before, I'm thinking of going back in a way, like, because just training with other people and that, like I train on my own a lot and I play basketball with some of my mates here and there, but there is something magical about it. It's fun. It's fun. We all come from different jobs and, studying or whatever. And then, you catch up before or after the workap and stuff like that.
Yeah.
At least you get that through sports as well. You have your teammates and stuff like that. But I think that's essential for anybody, wherever they're at, that community, whether they're into, Zumba or whatever, it's very important, just to have that connection.
Yeah. I struggle to train alone. Like, for a long time, and you probably have been through this as well, that competitive journey. I think I just struggled to do it alone because I had the fortunate I had a lot of great training partners going through my kind of competitive journey. Stacey Lee Sigatunga, she and I, she's one of my best friends, and we trained together for like 2 years straight, and she taught me a lot, and she is a fierce competitor. And but there were also times like when I had to train by myself, and I just never really had much fun doing that. Like obviously the goal kept me going, but even now, so like every Thursday I'll train with my gym hybrid. I'll jump in on the lunchtime class and I'll train with everyone, and I get my ass kicked, but it's great because I think they see me get my ass kicked and they know that, coach also has struggles sometimes, and he also puts himself in the fire because you can't just give orders, you have to get in the trenches as well, and just be able to kind of have that euphoria of like endorphin, that endorphin rush after the workout, with everyone, like conjoined suffering. Yeah, I agree, man. Getting in there with people, like that's where it's at. 100%. Yeah.
I was thinking like you could program me the best theoretically program for me, like aerobic thing, a bit of bodybuilding and stuff like that. And I could do that and probably feel pretty good. And then like also jump into class, like it's unplanned, and still have like a great time as well. It's interesting. I've been thinking about that, just the mental benefits and stuff. Yeah. But anyway, so your S&C journey, hybrid theory, how long you been there? Like how's that journey? What are you up to? Projects and things like that?
Yeah, man. So hybrid theory, we opened up around, I think it was January, February. Yeah, so February we started doing like free classes, like community sessions at the space, and we started in an empty warehouse. Well, not empty. We were actually sharing the warehouse. We still do, with Benny's Barbershop. So
yeah, I seen that. I love the artwork, and I love your guys. Like shirts and stuff like that. It's really cool designs. I love the artwork. But sorry,
bro.
just chiming in. I just really enjoy.
It's cool. It's when I got pitched the idea, I was like, how is this gonna work? Like, is there gonna be enough space? Is this gonna work out? And it's been nothing but phenomenal. And I think it's just so cool. Yeah. And we started in February. We had our members, people coming in every day, and we would just always push, community. We'd push, you're always going to get coached. You're not going to be left alone. High five. Let's fucking get down into it. Let's have a great time. And just pushing that vibe of excellence and what that looks like, and just having fun along the way. And there's a picture I put up on my gram like a few weeks ago of an empty basketball court, because that's that section of the warehouse that
Yeah, I've
we've
seen
kind
that.
of now made. Yeah. And that was like one of the very first community sessions that we ran. And then the pictures that you see now, like all over the hybrid page, it just blows my mind to think that, we almost have like such a large community, and we have such a strong, consistent community as well within our gym. And like I just love it. I personally think that we offer probably like the best program when it comes to covering all bases of fitness
Mm.
and personal development and health. And I also think as well, being able to offer two tracks. So we have like a compete track and ignite track, and those two tracks are different, but both very beneficial. One is not easier than the other. One has a different priority than the other, and we always make sure people understand the difference. Ignite is about taking care of your health, and your overall longevity, whereas compete is, do you want to push the possibilities of your body? Do you want to kind of, compare and contrast of where you were before and where you are going to be later, and just kind of see how far you can take it? And we also preach to members that, one day you could be wanting to compete, and the next day you might want to be on Ignite, and just having like those two different tracks. It's something that I've never really done before, but we've seen such good feedback from it. And just having, yeah, man, just having that hybrid has just been insane. And it's honestly my dream job. I've never had such a responsibility to a people, and having this experience within the past 6 months, well, sorry, 7 months now. If you told me we would be here 7 months ago, I would have called you silly. There's no way. I didn't think it was possible, especially like, going into lockdown as well. When that happened, our community stayed strong, and then we came out of it again, and we've been growing even more so and more so. And I'm just very blessed to be able to be in the position I am at Hybrid. It's my dream job, and it's my greatest success to date. So, but one thing I will say though is, I have the utmost respect, and I always get the inspiration of remembering our brothers and sisters, you guys up in the north, and having to deal with all the hardship. And, I always talk to the members as well. You guys need to do the most you can today, because there are people, there's our brothers and sisters up north that are struggling to even get into the gym because of government regulation, and be very grateful that you get to come to the gym today, because it could be gone just like that. And just having that, gratitude has made a huge difference as well.
Well said, man. Appreciate that, because my brother and sister, they still run the gym, and they've been allowed to have 10 people classes and outdoors, and that they were saying when they're getting together, it was a workout, but man, they were just happy to be back together.
That's the thing, eh?
Yeah. Like they'll work out, but afterwards they'll talk for 20, 30 minutes afterwards, and saying how important it is just for their mental health. And so you're right on the money, man, in terms of being grateful for that time together, and freedom to work out. So, and it's cool, it's awesome, man, that you got your dream job. How you're quite a young fella, yeah, like
yeah, man. So I'm 23.
Yeah.
It's something
Awesome,
I don't like to talk about it too often, because people usually like they just go, what, 23, that's way too young. Funny story though, when I first moved to this country, I actually applied for a sports coordinator role at a school here in Christchurch, a well-known school in Christchurch. And I made it through 2 interviews until the 3rd interview, where they asked for my passport and my driver's license, and they found out that I was 18. Quite close in age to everyone else that was actually going to the school at the time.
Yeah.
So it was I think that I know that I'm quite young for the things that I'm doing currently, but I always just like look at it as well. Like I always grew up around adults, and I always had like very mature role models kind of focus on and learn from. And I'm very, very kind of happy being the way that I am. And I'm just, no words. Yeah.
it's great the education you've got, and obviously your parents and that, for you being, a great communicator and being able to articulate yourself in a certain way. It's good for life as well, working and coaching and all that sort of stuff. So it's a great tool that you get it to, get us into different places in life. So it's cool to hear. And I know you also do some coaching, reclaim coaching, nutrition, reclaim nutrition. Yeah, tell us a little about that. How that's going.
Man. So Reclaim Nutrition is, it's my coaching company. And yes, I work with people in their nutrition, but I always like to say as well, it's not just nutrition, it's training. And people come to me thinking that nutrition is the main thing that's holding them back. And then what basically it allows me to do is kind of help people learn that nutrition is a very simple thing. It doesn't have to be this very convoluted and complex invisible figure that kind of holds people back, and they kind of live in fear knowing that there's a lot of unknown variables. But what it really is just me kind of giving people very easy things to focus on that make a huge impact. And like Reclaim Nutrition is a one-on-one service. So when people come and work with me, they are working with me. I don't do templates or anything like that. I personally don't think templates work. If you are very independent and you don't need someone there to kind of keep you accountable and you know a little bit, like I think a template could be very effective. But for the general public, I think having someone there to kind of help you navigate your lifestyle, learn that there are more choices than some might actually believe there to be, and to be able to kind of help you navigate the complexity of like carbohydrates, protein, and fats, and showing them that, we can manipulate them to our advantage and we don't need to avoid certain food groups. I think having everything on the wheel is important to maintain a well-balanced version of health as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. Yeah, like me and my wife, we watched the last episode of Squid Game last night. I watched the first 3.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, can you just watch the next ones, and then let me know when you're on to the last one. I'll watch the last one, just because it was like so much like killing and brutality, and I was just thinking how I listened to a podcast recently. It was the Mark Bell Powercast, and it was about like addiction and stuff like that. And just those, I usually go for like a morning walk, and sort of pondering those two things, like how life is hard and it can pull you different ways. Addiction, food, drugs, alcohol, sex, and then if you're feeding your mind like these shows, like these series, and people talking about all these series they're watching and stuff, and I was like because it's number 1 at the moment in New Zealand, and I'm like. So many people watching this, and say if their nutrition's off, exercise, like they're feeding their mind and their body's not getting nourished, like how I can see why people just go down this spiraling down, and not many people, stay on that straight and narrow. It's tough, man. It's tough life, like with all the marketing and everything and that algorithm.
There's so many like, it's just frustrating sometimes, because I feel like people will take cheap shots to make decent amount of money at people's expense. And the thing is like, we don't need to make nutrition any harder than it already is.
Yeah.
And like, again, like having so many different platforms, so many different algorithms, and so many different things kind of influencing and feeding our minds, it is quite difficult to live on the same kind of platform as everyone else, because you have to be exposed to those same things. But yeah, man, no, Squid Game is insane. That is nuts. When he wrote that show back in 2010. It got denied by 12 different like production companies, and then it finally got made, and now he's like. It's just insane as well, because the premise of the show as well is like, what would you do, right? like it's insane, and I just could not believe it and I found it very difficult to watch, but also very difficult to turn away. So I was like, wow. Yeah.
Because the first time, because everybody talked about it, I hadn't seen it and stuff. So me and my wife, we had some babysitters, so we watched like 3 back to back. And then like at the end of it, like, I couldn't leave, it was hard to stop watching. But at the same time, I was like, I just feel like real anxious and a little bit stressed, but I want to keep watching, and I was like, at the end of it, I was like, what did I get from that? And I was like, nothing, man, like maybe some entertainment. So that's why I was like, I don't want to watch this. And
I got a very strong like fear of Korea is what I have now. That's what I have. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm too serious. Like I didn't like watch stuff that like I learn from, or if I just want to have a laugh, watch like a comedy show or something like that, something lighthearted, or some rom-com. But yeah, I don't know how I drew a parallel with Squid Game and nutrition, but yeah. As a good segue to leadership. That's sort of how we connected. What are sort of like 3 things I guess you sort of see as, because it's such a broad thing, there's books and different speakers talk about it. What are sort of 3 things that you found, I guess, that you use most, I guess, or sort of refer back to in terms of leadership?
In terms of leadership, the first thing is and again, when I say this, it can be taken very, very badly and it can be used very well. I think navigating that is very important, but extreme ownership. So I always look at Jocko, because he does a great job of kind of defining it. Because if you just take it as it is on its own, obviously, if it's your ship, it's in your chalk, it's your ownership, and you just need to take responsibility for the actions that you are involved with. But it's also important to know as well that there's some things that you can't control. And I think being able to identify and separate those variables is going to not only have you be more reflective, but kinder to yourself at the same time. But yeah, extreme ownership is definitely number 1. So like taking ownership of your actions and knowing that, hey, could you have impacted this? Yes. Okay, then that's on you. Like you are in a lot of control when it comes to your own actions, but everything outside of your body and everything kind of outside in the world, understand that you can only control so much. And I guess number 2 would probably be communication. Yeah. You are not that good if you can't get people to understand that you're that good. I think Julian Pinot made a really, really good sentence out of this. He said, everybody has information, not many people have knowledge. And knowledge is something that is very transferable. And being able to, give someone knowledge is great, because that's something that is tangible, it is actionable, and people can understand. Information like that can be taken anywhere. If you go into every single research paper that you can find on MPD, that's information, is what that is.
Yeah.
Knowledge is the 3 bullet points that you can take away from that research paper, and those are actionable bullet points. And the third one would be kindness as well. Like a lot of the thing is as well is that I get this 3rd point from my dad, and I owe
not Jacinda.
Not Jacinda, not Auntie Cindy, no. As much as I appreciate her forward, that's great. But old man Pettigrew had it first. That's so good. But he I always took the piss growing up, because he'd always say to me every day before I left for school, work hard, be kind. Without a miss, every day, consistency. He always said, work hard, be kind. And he drilled it into me. And I'd always say, but Dad, sometimes you have to be mean. Sometimes you have to show people what's what. You can't be stepped on like that. And I watched my dad in some situations, they had to face and confront the wolf. He had to deal with the hostile individual. And his silver tongue approach to being kind and kind of like reframing the situation it just amazed me, because I know that, especially, with young men, our first call to action is anger. It's violence. It's, let me use my strength and my power to kind of overcome a situation. But very rarely do people actually recognize that being kind in a situation and having kind of a sense of vulnerability can bring out a different outcome to a situation. And, in the position that I am now at Hybrid, being the head coach and having to deal with a lot of people, and also internship coaches coming up as well, it's important to just be kind, I think, because you never know what people are going through. And to be a good leader is to have a good understanding, and to be able to understand, you need to be able to empathize with the people that are around you, and to be kind is the easiest way to do that.
Nah, love it, man. Nah, thanks for those three. There's in such a broad subject. I think you narrowed it down really well. Thanks for that.
Yeah, bro, it's a huge subject.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's some other good ones out there as well.
Yeah. I know there's some great ones to refer back to all the time. What is one of the best or worthwhile investments you've made? It could be like money, time, energy. It's had a massive impact on your life.
Ooh. This is one of those things that I originally had been so against, but obviously there's some lessons that only come to you with age. You can't go and seek them for yourself. They're going to come to you with age.
Yeah.
And I think that the biggest thing that has given me the growth and the development that I've needed, and the investment, because an investment is a transaction essentially, right? So I think giving your own time to a gym or to an organization in exchange for you to have the opportunity to impact people and be on the floor, to be a coach, was the best investment that I made. I look obviously, I could say there's a certification that made the difference, or this book changed things around, but giving your own time, because you have time. If you're an individual, if you're a human, you have time. Everybody has it. It's something that you can give to people. Obviously, money's good. Yes, no doubt. But giving your time to have the opportunity to be able to, increase your skill, increase your capacity, work on your development as a coach and as an individual, as a human, was the best investment I made in my years coming up here in Christchurch. And to be where I am now, I say that is the exact reason in the investment that I was able to do so. So yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. The Jim Wendler 531.
Yes, Jim Wendler 531. That's the one.
Yeah. He said something similar along the same vein, and he's been a bit of an inspiration for me. I'm trying to get him on the podcast, but anyway, he said one of the best things he's done in his professional career was he just volunteers and coaches his local football team for free.
That's the one. Yeah.
And he says it's made me feel better than all these other things I've done, paid work and things like that. It's interesting, and that's a part of what the group that I started, Zealous Athletic. It's sort of like a non-profit, and I love it. I actually enjoy it more in a way.
Yeah, for sure. Because the transaction there is a gratitude on both sides. And you're doing it out of love, and you're doing it, on your own time. And yes, money is great, but it's not the be all and end all everything. Yeah.
It's crazy, because I feel better, than doing one-on-one PTs and things like that. It's crazy how that works, So that's a really great point. Vision for the future. Yes. 5 years, when I know people talk about that, but just in general, vision for the future.
Oh man, vision for the future. Yeah, I'd love to tell you. I have no idea. To be bigger and better than what I am currently, and I know that will definitely happen. I just don't know what that looks like, because I had no idea that anything that has happened this year in my life alone was possible. Essentially world domination in 5 years.
Pinky and the mouse. Yeah. Same thing we do every day. Same thing we try to do every day. Yeah. I like it. Daily habits or routines that set you up for a good day?
Oh man, I am a morning person. I need to start my day at 4 a.m.
4? Yeah, you're a 4 guy. Yeah.
I'm a 4 a.m. guy,
Whoa.
and this wasn't out of choice. This was out of something that took place. So at hybrid, our first class of the day starts at 5 a.m. and that's my class. That's my death squad. They show up, they're ready to tear heads off, and it's a privilege to be able to do so. I also find as well that on the days that I don't have to be there at 5 a.m., not my 4 a.m. start sets me up in a way where I have my own time because, with my fiance, with my clients, with my social circle, with hybrid in the gym, and not to mention my 8-month-old Velociraptor, also known as Russell, the German Shepherd that I have as well. He requires a lot of my attention also. At 4 a.m., everyone's asleep. And being able to start my day at 4 a.m. gives me time to listen to a podcast, have a coffee, do some self-reflection, catch up on any work that needs to be done, go for a walk, maybe exercise. Like it just, having that start to my day is so, so crucial. And I never thought that I'd be the guy to get up at 4 a.m. because it's strange. But now having it that way, I look at it as my moment of Zen, where I can wake up while the rest of the world is silent and do work. And I just feels like I have a head start on the day. It's just insane. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, I agree 100% with that, having your own time. Like when I had my daughters, I was like, oh man, I was struggling a bit. I tried the late at night, I was, wait, get them to bed and then sort of have my own time. But I didn't like it because I sort of thought about it all day, like what I wanted to do and things. But the morning, you get it done, you feel like quite, at ease, quite peaceful. But that's another level, the 4 a.m. I've seen it like a few different people and I've sort of romanticized with it. But I'm more of like 5 at the moment, but maybe one day I'll push a little bit harder for the 4 a.m. But yeah,
man, it just takes the right circumstances and it happens. Like I think the fear of not showing up on time to class is what gets me out of bed in the morning. Yeah.
How's that sleep? Because you like when I was coaching like the 6 a.m. because we have 6 a.m. Zealous. Like sometimes I'd wake up, to make sure I didn't oversleep and things like that. You get that same sort of thing?
Oh yeah, dude. I think after years of coaching as well, like I think everyone has showed up late one time to a class, 100%, and that happened to me. And that happened to me once, and ever since then, I've always just woken up 2 hours in advance, just because like the fear wakes you up, but then you kind of learn that like that natural sleep rhythm. So now I go to bed at 8:30 every night. Wow. My dogs know that as well. They get tired around 8:15.
Yeah.
And I have to say huge shout out to my partner for letting me live this way, because if I go to bed at 8:30, that means she does too. Yeah. So it's I'm very lucky to have a support network that lets me kind of live this way, because 4 a.m. is definitely a unnatural time to be awake. Yeah. No doubt. Yeah. I can only imagine having kids though. That's insane.
Like, 4 a.m. man. Like the guy I was referring to a little bit off, before we started recording, the Corey Gregory. He's got the 4 a.m.
Corey Gregory.
Yeah, so he's got 4 a.m. I think one of his boys or him has got 4 a.m. tattooed on him or something, and then the other I can't remember, old school something. Yeah, some sort of thing. But
that's so sick.
Yeah. I think when you get people to tattoo like your gym or whatever your thing is on them, then you've made it, eh?
You fucking made it. 100%. Yeah. Like if you look at Logan's gym, the amount of people that have Deuce tattooed, like that's legit.
That's hardcore, eh? That's real disciples right there.
Yeah.
That's legit, yeah. What we got? Any projects that you're working on? Things for your podcast, the Holdfast Podcast, Reclaim Nutrition? Anything to keep an eye out on?
Well, yeah, I guess we could talk about this here. So I am looking at some point creating a YouTube channel and kind of merging into that space, finding the right kind of set up to make that happen. And I'm working with a videographer at the moment. We have some plans installed for the future. But I think that's probably my next biggest move. But another thing as well that I'm looking at doing is merging into working with the elderly. So that's something, because through my master's, I spent a lot of time like doing a lot of research on like elderly wealth and health and overall well-being. And the more and more I read, the more and more frustrated I get, as our elderly are not being armed with the tools and the education to take care of themselves. And I think that if you've made it that far in life, the quality of life should be nothing but the highest. So having that kind of sit with me is a project that I'm looking to tackle next year. So yeah.
Oh, nice. So man, final few questions. Greatest lessons your mum and dad taught you? Greatest lesson. Maybe
greatest
like
lesson, yeah.
Individually, like your mum probably taught you something. Like, I don't know, your dad sort of said work hard, be nice. Maybe your
I think work hard, be kind is a lesson. Yeah, is a lesson that both my parents instilled in me. And they always held the highest kind of stature of professionalism. They were always incredibly professional. They'd walk into a room and everything would go still. It's just having that kind of class mentality. So work hard, be kind, for sure.
Yep. If you could put I don't know if it's going to be the same one, but if you could put a message on a billboard, on the way to work, for people to see on the way to work, school, wherever they're going, what message would you put on the billboard?
So this one, man, like I saw this question that you sent through and I was like, that is so sick. That is so sick. And the thing would be, there is no tomorrow.
There is no tomorrow?
So I got that from Apollo Creed.
Yeah.
There's a like a TikTok that I put up on my story every once in a while of him and Rocky in the ring. And he's obviously prepping Rocky for a match, and they're going at it. And Rocky's tired, man. He's sick. He's sick of getting beaten up. And Rocky says, "We'll pick it up tomorrow, man. We'll pick it up tomorrow."
Yeah.
And Apollo looks at him and says, "Tomorrow? There is no tomorrow."
Yeah, man.
And that just hit me like a bus. I was sitting in bed. I was like, babe, there is no tomorrow. I gotta go. I gotta
eating your ice cream, feeling sorry for yourself.
Like, there is no tomorrow. And like that right there also has a bit of a more serious context to it as well, because being Movember as well, men's mental health, you never know when today might be your last day. And that might not be the same for some other people as well. And it's just like, you think you're in control until you're not. And I always want to make sure that I do everything I can today to make, everyone else proud, because taking, the gift, which is the present, which is today, and doing the most that you can is something that you owe to everyone and everyone that you love. So, yeah.
A book that's had a big impact on your life, something you refer back to.
I have to. Honestly, I think Going Right gave me the confidence that changed everything when it came to like how I viewed what was possible, how I viewed what was the right way to do things. It definitely helped me kind of kill the idea of a plan B. It showed me that if you have a plan B, you're gonna fall into it. If you don't have that safety net, you're gonna make it a lot more of an effort to make plan A work. But if I was to recommend another book, though, I'd have to say that Burn Your Couch by Rick Alexander is a great book as well. And it really just talks about killing all discomfort and killing all comfort and diving into all discomfort and creating a hardened, more adaptable version of yourself. And my mentor, Mike Thetis, shout out to him. He gave me this book when I was 18, and it's been with me ever since. It's a great book. So Rick Alexander, Burn Your Couch, great book.
Rick Alexander. That's something I thought Greg Glassman would have written, but I like that. I like the way you put that. And lastly, man, just your definition of success.
Yeah, actually, you really did stop me with this one. I had to think about this one quite a bit. Because I think, like, if you try and put it, it depends obviously what industry you're in. Some industries have, maybe it's more based on the person. Some people have a lot more like clear definition of success, but mine's real simple. When my head hits the pillow, am I proud of myself for everything that I did that day? And am I happy with everything that I had done? Like, if I can do that day in and day out, and then I look back on the years, that's how I view my success, being proud of myself when my head hits the pillow.
There we go, guys. Luke Pettigrew, it's been a pleasure, man. Thanks for jumping
so much, brother. I appreciate it.